You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Today on the show, we have the founder and CEO of Hyppo, Stephen DiMare. Welcome, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Excellent. Super psyched to have you. And with him, we have Kyle Whalen, who is in charge of Hyppo's pop production, baby. I love it. So,
it's a sweet gig.
How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Doing good.
We're super pumped to have you guys. We want to dig into your stories a little bit in just a second, but of course I got to check in with Ty. This is going out on Thanksgiving this coming week. Is there anything else going on, my man? What's up?
I'm actually staying in Gainesville this week for the first time, and
you're like the only one, my man.
I know.
You're the only
weird.
one.
But we got Florida State on Saturday, so I'll be making the trip. Part of the reason we're staying is so we can make the trip up to Tallahassee.
So you're going?
Yeah,
you going to the game?
Yeah.
What?
Be a lot of fun.
All right, man. Well, bring back a
I'm
win.
hyped. We got Hyppo here and Wyatt's, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more. I've frequented the locations for a long time. So excited to have these guys here.
Cool. And just one more reminder for everybody, if you tuned into the last episode, we're going to be doing our own WHOA GNV holiday party, if you will, where we're going to be giving away tons and tons and tons and tons of Krispy Kreme donuts.
At least 300, maybe 1,000.
It's going to be a lot.
Nice.
It's going to be a lot.
Dang.
It's going to be a lot. So we're going to be at Krispy Kreme on December 4th at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And you and I are going to be there working.
You're
and
going to
just
be dressed
handing
as
out.
a pirate. I will not be.
I don't know about that. I haven't decided. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen there. But we will definitely be handing out free donuts to anybody who wants one.
Do you think we can get some of those wild inflatable arm guys over there for us?
I don't know.
Let's do it.
You do it.
Jeff?
Don't you have the
I'll ask
connections?
the team.
We have one.
who's
His
in
name's Jeff.
connection?
Yeah.
We have one.
All right. So we're adding Hyppo to our pop-up.
I don't know. Out there.
It's
going to be a
orange.
pop,
I have no idea,
crazy
but-
pop-up. Yeah.
It's 20 feet tall,
Perfect.
a bit obtuse, but
He rules.
That's what we're looking for.
Cool, man. Well, guys, thanks again for being here. Super pumped to have you. The first thing that we like to do is get into the origin stories. We like to go way back, like bring us to the point, like what led to the creation of Hyppo and where you guys are at today. Give us the story, man.
so yeah.
This is Stephen, by the way. So Stephen.
This is Stephen, and Hyppo started in 2010, and it was actually born of a failed coffee shop dream in a lot of ways. But so I went to UF and came out in 2009, and the recession was in full swing, and so a bunch of my friends were just staying in school, and I was trying to figure out what to do. I was unemployed and took a job out in Big Sky, Montana, making minimum wage at a hotel, and it was really great. But the whole time I was out there, I was scheming. I've been planning to do this coffee shop for years. I'm a coffee fanatic and just really wanted to build an amazing third wave coffee shop. Back in like 2009 and 2010, I've been working on this idea for years. So I was saving up money for that. And then while I was in Montana, I took a flight home for a friend's wedding. And on the flight, I sat next to a stranger, and I'm kind of doing my elevator pitch on how great my coffee shop is going to be. And she was like, "Yeah, you're in Florida. It's so hot there. You should make something like refreshing, like popsicles." And I was like, "I don't, that really doesn't fit my like idea for my coffee shop. That's like, it's going to be kind of cool, and this is kind of a kid thing."
Like, popsicles are for kids.
Yeah. And so I totally rejected it. She was like, no, like in the Mexican style, like the paletas, fresh fruit, herbs, you can make them really authentic. And I was like, that could be fun. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that would be really fun, actually. We could do all kinds of things.
So on this plane ride, this woman just like shoots down your coffee idea and is like, gonna do popsicles instead.
Basically. and by the time the plane landed, this like multi-year dream I'd been working on, and I'd called all these roasters and distributors, and I've been working on this thing I even went and like took a part-time dishwashing job just to like get myself in the food biz so I'd be better equipped to like run a coffee shop. And at the end of this plane flight, it was like everything was changed, and I'm like, I'm gonna open a popsicle store.
Well, you were influenced that much by this conversation on this plane.
Yeah, it was fertile grounds.
That's that's awesome. All right, so continue on. Like, where have things gone since the plane ride?
Yeah, so within 3 months of that, I was actually open for business. I moved back to St. Augustine, found a piece of property that was open. And so the funny thing is, it was the recession that kind of drove me into like out of like the normal track that I would have been on probably. But the recession also opened up a lot of like real estate, opened up landlords to rent to first time renters with like no credit or anything. And so the recession also like got me completely in the door. So I opened up my first shop in downtown St. Augustine in 2010, and we were making all the popsicles in the back, mostly at night, and then selling them in the front of the shop during the daytime. And slept a lot of nights there. And and so we opened in June 2010, and we had maybe like, I don't know, 10 flavors or something like that. We were freezing them really slowly. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like keeping like great notes and trying to make them the best that I could. And it was a hit from day one. And so I think we were operationally solvent by I think we opened like a Tuesday or Wednesday. We were operationally solvent by Friday. And then it just took off from there.
So how long did it take you? And so was that in downtown?
In downtown St. Augustine? Yeah, the historic
And is it the
area.
Same store that it is now, or have you guys moved in?
We moved it to it started on like on 15 Hippolyta Street, and we moved it to the corner.
Okay.
But it's pretty much in the same spot. Yeah.
All right, cool. So you had 10 flavors at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go from 10 flavors to? I mean, I was on your website last night, like looking, and it looks like there's hundreds of flavors. Maybe.
Yep.
I mean, is that correct? Like, how many flavors do you guys have?
I'll let Kyle answer that.
Yeah. So it's probably over 500, maybe 600.
Yeah, it's maybe 6.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's our recipe book. Any given time, you can find like maybe 40 or 50 in store
Easily.
But we can roll through several hundred in the course of a year.
Yeah. I mean, so how many do you keep on hand of each kind?
I don't know, 80.
Yeah.
80 of each flavor.
I don't know, maybe 80.
I was just wondering, like,
Just a random
is it
number.
like 5 of each flavor, and then once they're gone, they're gone?
No, we usually have like maybe 3 or 4 cases of each flavor, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the stores, it's probably 3 to 6 cases of each, and then, we're at my facility, we have, by the tens, sometimes over 100 cases on hand.
What do you mean by at your facility?
Where we make everything.
Okay, so they're being produced somewhere. They're not being made inside the stores.
Correct. Yeah, we make everything in St. Augustine, and we hold it all there, and then we self-distribute to all of our stores throughout the state.
Cool.
Yeah, in our new freezer, I mean, we can hold like 120,000 popsicles, which is great, except when hurricanes come, and so.
What do you got to do? Hook it up to a generator? Or?
We built a generator after Irma. We installed a big one, but Matthew and Irma were both pretty squirrely.
What is it? Just from a power
situations.
standpoint, like?
Just power.
Yeah.
So. Got to keep them cold.
Yeah, those things can affect business, huh?
Oh yeah.
But so that was the first shop, and I really was focused on just doing one shop really, really well. And I hadn't thought about, like, I get the question a lot, did you imagine it was going to be this larger thing? And no, definitely not. I thought I would probably fail. Look at the odds. I was trying to be realistic. Most businesses fail, like most new ones. And so I was probably going to fail. And that was one of the things that interested me so much about popsicles as opposed to coffee was like, if I'm going to fail anyway, I'd much rather fail doing something like new and pioneering and creative and fail in like on a path that no one else has been down rather than, on the coffee path that's just like littered with bodies and it's this big open trail. And, so that was a big motivating factor for me was just like knowing that I was probably going to fail and wanting to fail doing something that was more creative.
So like I'm gonna chances of me failing are high, but
at least I'll have pride in it.
Yeah. It's gonna be in a creative new thing, pioneering. Well, that's cool. So I mean, walk me through so how long was it? How long did you have that first store before you were like, it's time to open the second?
Probably about 6 months.
That was it, huh?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I mean, so it was doing that well, like.
It was doing really well right out of the bat, and then so then I started looking at like, hey, it would be really cool to replicate this. And the second store that I opened was in Flagler Beach. I don't know if you guys have been there. Really cool old, like it looks straight out of the 1960s. It's really rad, a little beach town south of St. Augustine. And that store failed. That was my first. So the first store succeeded. So I did fail, just thankfully not on like store one. store 2 failed. Store 3 also failed. That was we opened up a Hyppo cart at the St. John's Town Center, which is a big walking mall in Jacksonville, and that Kyle worked there. So Kyle, I should say, he's our production manager now, but he was one of my first employees, and he used to sell pops when he was in college.
Oh yeah.
You had to work at the town center cart.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Oh man, the town center. So it was 100 degrees every day. Stephen made me wear a funny hat, and you just stood up.
Good job, Stephen.
And it was hard.
Want him to look classy.
You just stand outside every day, sort of in the shade, but not really. And
you didn't sweat though.
No, not at all. And then it was hard. I mean, it was hard to move them, but it was still fun. There's a lot of driving for me though, because I still lived in St. Augustine. But.
Yeah, and that one failed too. So we Flagler Beach failed because the demographic wasn't big enough. The town was too small, and when you're selling something that's so cheap, you have to get a lot of feet through the door every day. You have to make a lot of sales every day for it to work. Mm-hmm. And so when you're in these small areas, the community supported this really well. There just weren't enough of them for it to really make sense.
You I'm gonna make an assumption, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're very much like me, where you're just gonna execute and like, all right, 6 months, like let's go, boom, 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 like, and see what happens. If it fit, like, it doesn't sound like there was you say, oh, there wasn't enough, population there, or there wasn't enough that, like, it doesn't sound like you had done those studies in advance to like determine that this wasn't the right move, that instead you just executed and then was like, let's see what happens, which is 100% what I do a lot. Like, I don't study data a lot. You know what I mean? It's just the truth. Like, I pull the trigger on things and just go. I mean, is that the way it's always been, or did you learn from that? Because now, how many locations do you have now?
We have 11 Hippos now.
Okay.
Plus
all across the state.
Plus a few other brands. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
A few other brands. All right, we'll get it. We'll get
into that.
Yeah. So, remind me. A few other brands.
But you were right. That's always been my style. It's a little bit more just to start doing first, and then we can think about it later. And that's really helpful. But I love data, but the data is much better once you're doing it. Then you get like really pure data.
Yeah.
Oh, people didn't like it failed. That's really good data.
That's the best data.
Very accurate. Yeah.
Why do you think that cart failed in the town center? That seems like a home run location to it.
Yeah, and isn't it low expense, or am I getting it wrong?
Yeah, no, it was low expense. Everything about it seemed like a home run too. Like when I brokered that deal with them, I took it to the bank. I was like, let's pop the champagne bottle. This thing's gonna be amazing. Yeah. There's a few different reasons. I think at the time we were doing that was 2011. The gourmet popsicle was not something that was a part of any sort of awareness or brand consciousness of on anyone's radar yet. So we're having to do a lot of education. We just had a cool little vintage cart, but you couldn't really like see into it or see the product really well, and we were trying to not be like gaudy and flashy with it. We were just trying to be a little more hipster, a little cooler. And I think that kind of hid the product from that education a little bit. And at Town Center, the weather is frequently inclement, like it's hot or it's windy or it's rainy.
It rains,
and so people are just ducking into storefronts constantly. And so I think the combination of those factors made people just kind of think like, if I'm going to get a treat, maybe get something that's a little less messy that I can walk into a store with. And so that's why we think it just didn't work. But the reason I built that was because by 2011, I had become aware there was another popsicle company that had started in Atlanta near the same time that I had, called King of Pops. And the guy that started that is Stephen Carson. Kyle and I actually went up and visited him a few years after that and got to hang out. But his whole model is built on carts. Like, he just has carts all over Atlanta. So we're like, okay, where it kind of looks like where are people out? What looks like an urban environment in Jacksonville or St. Augustine? And the town center was that environment. So we went there, but it just didn't catch on the same way.
Yeah.
And so how long did you run that before you were like, all right, I'm going to close this down?
I think it was a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a year there and a year at Flagler Beach. So store 1 was still doing well. In year 2, I was just driving around like a crazy person and spent all the profits and then some, failing at these other 2 locations. Yeah.
Okay. So So yeah.
But now you're in some incredible locations. I mean, you're in
Yeah.
So when was the next location?
Hyde Park. You're in some really high traffic, high end.
Yeah.
places.
So we did learn, and we learned. Okay, what do we need? Oh, we need more people, and we need brick and mortar. So then I think I want to say the next location was downtown Gainesville.
Yes.
The next location was downtown Gainesville, and so since I had gone to school here, I was really familiar with the city. Connected with some real estate guys over here, and I was like, I really want to be in downtown. I love downtown, and I think we've got enough people here, and if we can get some cool brick and mortar. So we got that little space across from Dragonfly, and that one was a hit. It just worked. Enough people knew about the product here, and enough students were like, game for that kind of a thing, and so that one really clicked, which is great, because if that one had failed too, I probably would have tried to hang it up at that point.
You're like, I'm a failure.
Just talk back to the original one and be like, I'm just going to stay here. Yeah. This is great.
So and Gainesville has 2 locations. Right?
Gainesville has 2 locations. Mm-hmm. We did have 3, but that was another learning experience. So we had one that was open on First Ave, over like right across from the stadium, on like the Roberts Stadium Club thing.
Okay.
And then but that one failed, and so we learned that we had too many popsicle shops. We had oversaturated. Yeah.
That was kind of an interesting area. That I would go to that Wyatt's literally 4 times a week. I was probably your best customer.
Well,
I
thank
lived
you.
right there.
You were keeping that shop alive.
I'd go do stadiums, and I'd come back, get a coffee in the morning. That was like my routine. But that stadium club's been kind of a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah.
Those dark windows. It's so tough.
If there had been like 600 more of you, it would have been perfect.
Did you ever go to that location on the back of the stadium club right there on First Ave? It's just a weird building.
It's a weird building, and they've got no parking, and it's just to struggle there. Yeah.
I think they might have solved some of the parking stuff.
They're trying to.
Like I know, because
still
one of my banks is there, so
you
can get your thing validated and park in the garage. But I don't know.
It's just a lot of work.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah, I was pretty devastated though when it closed, but I was really excited you guys opened Wyatt's back up, and I don't know if you want to fast forward to some of the other brands, just to mention them early on in the podcast, what the other brands you guys have going, because there's multiple.
Yeah, so the other brands we have in the company, do you want me to?
Yeah, let's go into the new brands.
And then we can come back.
Yeah, well, this is our podcast. We can do whatever the hell we want. That's what's so great about it.
That's a nice thing about it. So the other brands we have are Wyatt's Coffee, which is a Gainesville-only coffee brand. So I finally got the coffee shop. And it's really great, and I just love it. It's very
so that's yours too,
eclectic.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, Wyatt's. Thank you. I really love it. We're gonna go there right after this and get some coffee. It's gonna be great.
Oh, yeah.
But so we have Wyatt's. We also have Cousteau's, which is a waffle and milkshake bar in St. Augustine, which is really fun. And then more recently we have Mayday ice cream. And that's like artist. So basically, we took 8 years of like popsicle production, just learning and experience, and now have applied that to ice cream. And so we've got churns, and so we're churning everything. And so it's just kind of like innovative, like American style ice cream. And that's in St. Augustine and Jacksonville right now, but that one's growing pretty fast.
Cool. If you haven't been to Cousteau's in St. Augustine, it's pretty legendary. It's like an Instagrammable, awesome place. I mean, you guys just kill it on social media.
Anything that's Instagrammable is good for this guy.
I actually didn't know that you guys did Cousteau's until I was looking last night, and I've actually done a collaboration with, I don't know if it's one of you guys that runs that social media for Cousteau's, but I was over there for a wedding, and we did like a quick, I was just by it, and I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And they're like, come over, get a waffle, awesome. Posted. It was good. So we did it in about 15 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When was that recently?
It was like in maybe February or March.
Yeah, okay. That would have been probably Alyssa that you were talking to. She's our social media director.
Cool. So
she's awesome.
How big is your team then?
Our like core admin team is I don't know. We have like a roundtable with anyone who's like a general manager or up. We do a roundtable every week. There's probably like 20 of us there. Now, the total
is this
company,
with like everybody who works the different stores?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and are you doing that like Skype or something, or?
No, we have everybody drive to St. Augustine, and if you live far away, then you come every other week.
Okay.
But eventually we're going to have to do something else. But for right now, it's just really great to get people in the same room together.
Yeah,
and
face to face.
There's a lot of camaraderie and some teamsmanship that goes on. Because a lot of these managers are like, running their own little sovereign nation most of the time. And so they're kind of on their own. And so we want to pull everyone together.
Yeah, so talk to me about that. Like, what are the challenges in managing, leading other managers who are leading these shops all over the state?
Multiple and varied. Yeah, there's I would say one of the biggest challenges is company culture. Trying to convince people that are far away that they're part of a team, part of a broader mission. That's the biggest challenge, which is why we spend so much money and resources trying to pull everybody together every couple of weeks, so that we can try to drive company culture and try to just get everybody on the same page. But that's definitely the toughest thing.
How many people are needed to man like each of the stores?
Usually around like six to eight employees. Yeah.
Okay, and those general managers, I would assume, are responsible for hiring at those particular locations.
Yeah, they do all the hiring, training, firing if needed.
And does any of it need to go through you for like final approval, or like what's the guidance for you to the general manager in order to ensure that the hiring is helping build that culture?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate because recently we hired a retail operations director, Kelly, and she's amazing. And so she actually is checking in on those managers every day, checking in on their needs, giving them the tools they need, and reviewing their hiring. And she'll travel to the locations and like help them with training and do standards checkups and things like that. So.
These are corporate owned stores?
Yeah, they're all corporate owned. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's really fun, and I do think that we do have a good company culture, and there is cohesion even though we're spread out, and we're planning our holiday party now. And last year's was really fun because people are coming from all over the state and converging and meeting each other for the first time in a big room, and that was really fun. So we're looking forward to that again this year.
I want to ask. I don't know why I probably should have thought about it when we were talking about the location. So this is kind of sporadic, but you have 2 locations in Gainesville, but I noticed like in some of the bigger cities, you only have like 1.
Yeah. Is there
a reason, or it just hasn't grown to where you're going to put, is there one in Jacksonville?
There's one in Jacksonville.
Okay, there's one in Jacksonville.
There was 2, and we converted one of them into a Mayday.
Okay.
A Mayday ice cream shop,
okay.
which is doing really well. And so a big part of that is that we just found that the Hyppo, because it's like a niche product and it's like it's a gourmet popsicle, and it just really needs a very specific type of real estate to really resonate with people. And so it's a lot easier for us to find the like one perfect site in a city than like multiple perfect sites within a city. So even here in Gainesville, like the Archer Road location is neat because there's like tons of parking. It's easy to access, easy for families to get in and out of. But the downtown location in general is like a lot better because it's in a walking district and you can grab one and go walk around. It's pretty, it's nice. And we do a lot better in those sorts of areas. And a lot of towns or cities really only have like one of those. Gainesville only has one.
Gotcha.
So for us, we'd much rather go to a new city and find that one perfect place where it's just kind of like makes sense for everybody, then try to find areas where we could achieve higher saturation within each city. So it's very astute though. That is what we're doing. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Ty, what else you got?
So I want to cycle back to the pop production. So we've got 600 flavors. A few of my favorites. I love the pistachio rose. Ooh. And the anything daddle. I'm always trying. So
that's excellent.
What like seasonally, what's like the most popular, and then what are some flavors you guys kind of keep playing around with, maybe into the holidays or whatever, that you haven't maybe perfected yet, or what do you guys think is your best pop too? Just go through the pops with us.
I'm gonna let you lead on this.
What do I think is the best pop?
Well, first timer, they like everything.
They like everything?
Yeah.
Well, there's one I hold very near and dear to my heart, and it is blackberry goat cheese. That's one that you don't see even with the other gourmet popsicle companies, and it was one that I got to execute. It was like the first one I got to do on my own, and it is very popular and seasonal, which that one I would recommend. Or like you said, I love daddles. I can put daddles on anything. Daddle sauce, daddle popsicles, whatever.
And for
it
people
is.
that don't know, this is like a spicy pepper that people in St. Augustine are really fanatical about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can get daddle peanuts on the side of the road on the way to the beach.
It's
They're
true.
all over the place.
Yeah, everyone grows them in their yard.
Oh yeah.
Kyle's got a bunch in his
Oh
yard.
yeah.
So do you guys create local flavors based on that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's, I think that's cool that you consider, hey, like St. Augustine, this is super popular in St. Augustine. Like, let's turn this into a popsicle.
Right. So like,
if you do that in the other communities, like, I think that would resonate super well.
it's true. Yeah. So like daddle strawberry. I mean, anytime we have an event that's like with county workers and stuff like that, you have to bring daddle strawberry because you'll sell out of them first. Like it is. It's amazing,
and we do try to do that. Not to cut you off, but we do try to collab with other people. Not every city has like a food that they're like crazy about, like the daddle. Some cities do, but we do because we've done several collabs here in Gainesville.
right.
If you want to speak about that, with like Swamp.
Oh yeah, we've worked with Swamphead using some of their beers and putting those into popsicles. First Magnitude. Yeah, we did. We've gotten to work with them. They're really cool people. I'm trying to think. We did like a pineapple Hefeweizen with theirs.
We made that Gator Pop,
Oh yeah, the orange cream with blueberries in it, and sold them at the games.
which is tough. And I feel like I need to to do my duty and out Kyle as an FSU fan right now.
I will say we still make the pineapple cranberry two-tone popsicle.
Yeah,
Send them to
so
Tallahassee.
we do sell popsicles to FSU, and so people are listening to this. Don't don't confine us in our sleep or anything. We do sell to them. It's very friendly though. I don't think it affects the games.
Thankfully.
So yeah, like there's a lot of things that we are trying to work with new. Like we get, especially in the summers, is huge for us. We get a lot of access to very like exotic tropical fruits because in southern Florida we can grow them pretty commercially, like things like jackfruit and dragon fruit and Cousteau. I'm still trying to get my hands on the black sapote, the chocolate fruit, is what they call it. It tastes like chocolate pudding. We've used durian and gosh, what's the other? Guanabana.
Guanabana. Talk about some of the recent ones we've done.
The triple tiers?
All the purple ones.
All the purple ones, yeah. So there's the ube, which is a purple yam, and it's super popular in the Filipino culture. And Jacksonville has the highest concentration of Filipino people, I think, in the country. And so we did a ube macadamia coconut popsicle, and we sent 6 cases up to them, and they blew through them like really quickly and had an entire population.
We need to make more. It's really
coming
good.
out and like
It's
supporting that, and that's really neat to be a part of that. So that's kind of like their daddle pepper almost.
And then the other purple ones.
And then the purple rice horchata.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Congaree and Penn Farms in Jacksonville.
There's a rice farm in Jacksonville.
Cool.
So we got to go up there and made horchata, but they have a variety of rice that is purple, and so it's this like lavender colored horchata, and we took it up to them, and over the weekend they had their pumpkin patch, so we did pumpkin pie for them, and they just blew right through all those too. So it's really neat to.
And then the other one.
Which other one?
the scorpion.
Oh man, yeah. Stephen comes back from Texas with scorpion peppers, and so we do a blackberry peach scorpion, and I mean it was blazing, but it was amazing.
Also purple. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget. Gosh.
Yeah, I need to try
I'm just
that.
going to.
That was
So many awesome ones.
I'm just going to apologize to the YouTube captioner on this episode. As we're like spitting out the names of all this stuff, I'm like thinking about how this YouTube captioner is going to caption this episode with all. So good luck. Wish you the best.
So how does the process work when you guys are discovering a new flavor? You want to produce a new flavor. Like how many pops do you guys have to make? Are you the head pop chef, or is there like a board of people that are like, yeah, this is good? How do you guys
There's international regulations. No, I'm just kidding. It's just Kyle.
So
How many times do you have to fail at making it before you find success?
there are some that are tougher than others, but a lot of times we really want to stay true to what the fruit is. So like things like guanabana that most people haven't had, and they have a very like unique flavor. It's similar to a banana, but also a little bit creamy and pineapple-y. So with that one, we just started with, okay, let's figure out how to process these because they have very like spiny skin and they're full of seeds. And so they're similar to jackfruits, if you've seen those.
Yeah.
But again, they just like take a long time. They're very tedious. But their flavor is so dense. We just wanted to make a guanabana first. Like, let's try to figure out how to do this. And then from there, we can
Is there a
base.
song about that, or am I just thinking?
You're thinking of guanabana. It's the, isn't it the banana phone
Right,
song?
right, okay.
That
All
one.
right, thank you. I just want to make sure. Every time you kept saying that, the song kept coming in my head. I just wanted to make sure we were.
You would be amazed how many times people do that in the kitchen in 1 hour.
But we have most of these recipes are like boar-sided pretty well. So what we'll frequently do when we come up with a new flavor is we'll just find the recipe in our book that's closest to it.
Right.
And it's okay, what do we need to do to adapt this? And so usually we're only like 1 or 2 iterations on a new flavor before it's ready for the public, just because we've done so many of them now. And
Right.
the recipes follow like a certain philosophy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
So it's not nearly as bad as in the early days.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really funny. If you want to talk about early days, the popsicles that I made in those first days, I thought were wonderful. We would not serve them now. Those would go right in the garbage now.
Really?
Well, yeah, they just don't meet our texture requirements and things like that we've just gotten a lot better at over the years. But I remember I was running out of popsicles when we first opened. I couldn't make them fast enough. I didn't have a flash freezing machine yet, so I was just like loading up all the molds and setting them in the freezer overnight and just praying that they would like freeze faster. And I remember like on my 7th or 8th day open, like I had no pops. I was completely out, and so it was opening time, and I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like testing the pops, and they're still too soft. And,
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was like, so I had to put up a sign. I was like, we're gonna open at 2 today, you know, so I can like let these things freeze. And some of them came out, and I was really concerned about like being authentic and using like the whole fruit. You know, I wanted to like take a mentality of like we're gonna use the whole buffalo on everything here. Every single part. And so the first time I made key lime, I was like, you know what would be great? I mean, everyone's always just squeezing the juice out of these things. I bet we could just like put the whole thing in, and that would be a lot better because lime skins are good, and I'm sure the pulp's good because I love pulpy orange juice, and obviously the juice is good. And so when those things came out, it was like when you tasted it at first, it was like, wow, that lime is incredible, and then like it would just the bitterness and harshness would just crash down on you, and almost like people would almost fall over. But I had to sell them. I had to sell them because I didn't have any more pops that day. Oh my God. And so I was like, how can I rebrand this as like something edible? And I was like, so I renamed it the Key Lime Experience. A bunch of people came in, and I was like, no, just so you know, it's an experience. You're going to experience the whole lime, you know, here. That's because we're authentic. You know?
That's marketing at its best, Brandon. I love it.
Do you think the scarcity of the pops in the early days probably added to the kind of the allure, the marketing? It helped you out. You had to get there early, maybe to get the one you wanted.
Yeah, I think the scarcity helped. And there was a couple of pops that I just hated making. Like my dad came up with a recipe for a peanut butter pie pop, and I was like, Dad, that's really cool. You can come in and make it. So he would come in.
You can make it for yourself, Dad.
Yeah, and he would make it, and they would like sell out instantly. And he was like, this is what the people want. And I was just constantly battling with him.
The peanut butter pie is awesome. By the way. You dip it in you get the chocolate dip. It's like beyond good. Yeah.
But in the early days, I was like, Dad, this is not what we're doing. We're like fresh fruit. This is going to be like healthy. This is going to be. And he was like, I think people really want peanut butter pie. And so they would sell out so quickly. And but they were like a real pain to like clean my molds out because they had dairy in them. And so I did like, it took a lot more work and effort to make them. And so, but people loved them. So I started saying, all right, I'm going to make peanut butter pie on Tuesdays only. So we had, for a long time, we had peanut butter pie Tuesdays. and that was the only day you could. And people would literally just like show up and buy like a dozen of them. Yeah, there'd be a line of people waiting.
A line at the door,
and they would just get cleaned out. And what a good business person would have done would have said, "Hey, I'm making something that people really want. I should make more of that thing." And what I said was, "This is very frustrating that my dad is so right about this." And I'm going to keep making these other popsicles over here that I want to make. And so anyway, we're changing our philosophy a little bit on that now, and we're trying to be more accommodating. For years, we've kind of just struck in our own direction. We said we're going to make whatever the season dictates. We're going to make whatever we want to. The flavors are going to change all the time. We make no promises. You know, if your flavor isn't there, you know, tough. There's 50 other ones. You just pick one you like. Yeah. And try to expand your horizons, man. You know.
Yeah. And
now we're kind of tacking back from that because we realized that in a lot of ways I was like just not. It was kind of doing a disservice to a lot of our biggest fans, and so. Kyle and I recently met, and we're kind of trying to standardize a core kind of 24 flavors that are kind of always there, so we can make a little bit more of a commitment to the customer on that. And you know, obviously the other 24 flavors or so we'll have in the store will be constantly rotating and changing, so we can keep making fun new things like ube and scorpion pepper and stuff like that. But anyway, that's you know, we're 8.5 years in, so. You know, it's about time we tried to achieve some level of
peanut butter pie made that list,
and peanut butter pies in the
it's in the everyday now.
Rose is in the
it's on there.
Right,
Pistachio Rose, that one's. So a lot of our ideas just came from other people, right? Like I didn't come up with all of these. That one came from there was a guy who was like an ex-Marine or something that came into the store a bunch, and he was like, "Hey, when I was in Afghanistan, we used to always get this like Persian ice cream that was rose and pistachio. I loved it. Can you make that?" So we were like, "Yeah, let's try it." And so we made it, and it was a big hit. And so that's the reason that we have that one. The ube one, our accountant is from the Philippines, and so and a good friend of mine as well. And so we were like. They were like, "You have to do ube." We're like, "All right, let's try to find these purple yams." You know, so it's a lot of fun.
When you were getting to the point of like, you know, popsicles are melting and you're realizing, or you're not melting, but like not frozen yet, and you have to delay the store opening and that kind of thing, and you realize that you're going to need these more equipment. What would you say, like a flash freezer, like this type of thing? I mean, you know. My question is, like, did you bootstrap this thing all the way up, or was there a time when like you hit that you're like, man, this is gonna be big, I need to go find some outside funding?
Yes. there was
to both.
Exactly.
Both.
So we have primarily been bootstrapped.
Okay.
So
the very first store, like, where did you get the money for that?
So when I worked at the hotel in Big Sky, Montana, a minimum wage that covered my room and board, and so I've just committed to like I'm like not spending a dime of this. So I came back from that with about $7,000 in my bank account, and I talked my parents into giving me another 14.
Okay.
And so we could on like a napkin in the kitchen we drafted, okay, you're gonna get this percentage of the company, I'm gonna get this percentage, and they legitimately thought I was gonna fail too, in like the kindest way. We all did.
Parents always, oh, there goes my $21,000, or like, there goes my what'd you say, $14,000?
Yeah.
There goes my $14,000.
But their opinion was, they're like, well, this is a lot cheaper than grad school, and you're gonna learn a ton. And you know, not that they didn't believe in me, they were super supportive.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, they gave me that seed money, but you know, but we all kind of expected it's likely to fail, but that's okay. And then so we were all surprised.
So that's what it took, was that was the initial money to get it off the ground.
Yeah, that was, and I spent every last penny of it. And I think I had written a check that probably would have overdrawn me, like on the day that I opened. But yeah, so we actually made it, the whole thing, including, you know, first and last and security deposit on the rent and like all of that equipment, everything, for $21,000. It was very. I mean, I had friends. I've called in every favor. You know, friends came in to like paint and help. My family was in there helping me like cut pineapples and squeeze limes and like, I mean, it was a community effort.
Wake up, Ronald, that's your alarm to wake up and get out of bed and come to the podcast. Sorry, that happens a lot. It happens at least once an episode.
That's consistency.
Awesome. Yes, consistency is important. So when you got to that point with, you know, it's growing a lot.
Yeah,
you realize it's growing a lot. I mean, these are corporate owned stores, so you weren't, selling franchises. So,
right.
I mean, where did the money come from for that? Was that from profits coming out of the first store? You're like, I'm going to take these profits and just invest and invest and invest?
Yeah, so it was a combination. Most of those stores came all out of profits. I was living, my parents live in St. Augustine. I lived at home with them for the first 7 years of the company, 6 to 7 years. And I paid myself, poverty level pay. I mean, I didn't pay myself anything in the first 6 months. And I think the next 2 years I paid myself, I think $10,000 a year. And then just, slowly cranked it up from there to something more livable. I'm married now, so I have to pay myself like a little bit more now, so we can eat.
Yeah, they always want money. My wife, she's, can you write us a check? Like, I'm like, how bad do we need it? Do we like really need it that? Yeah. Because I do the same thing. I don't pay myself anything and just keep pouring the monies right back into the companies.
Yeah, when you're in growth phase, like it feels good to do that. You're plowing the fields under. You're trying to expand your crop. So that was great. And then a couple years ago, we brought on a couple of just private investors, fans of the company, just a couple of private families that invested some. And right now we're in talks with a few banks and a few kind of like VC brokers about trying to bring on some more cash to keep growing the company. Not as much from like we need it as much as if we can get more cash on hand, then that allows us to grow the company like the way we want to, which we just added health benefits for the first time to our full-time staff, and that's a really big deal. And
that is a big deal.
And so
congrats. I know how expensive that is because we looked at it for new scooters for less, and it's in fact we had Celebrate Primary Care. That's something that we're exploring locally for our team and stuff. But yeah, like when you're able to get to that point where you're able to offer benefits, I know it helps with, keeping team members for a long time.
Exactly.
You're kind of a unique situation, right? I mean, you were the first employee. I mean, now that's got to feel good. I mean, to see this company come to fruition and to be to say that you were there from day one, from the very, very early days. I mean, isn't that cool?
It's super cool. I love it. I take a lot of pride in that. I the moment I met Stephen, just going to the stores, I was like, this place is awesome. And then I finally got a chance to not work outside anymore. And then I worked at the town center, and then he made me work there. So it's like, oh, great, I'm back outside. It's really hot. But yeah, just being able to see all that. Had plans to move after Flagler. But then after talking to Stephen and offering me a full-time job, and my wife was certified to teach in this state and not where we were going to move, it just made a lot of sense for us to stay. And since then, it's been really neat to be a part of learning how to make popsicles, how to move frozen items, how freezers work, and just how I've done build-outs with Stephen and all these things. It's been cool to see us grow in different areas, and then being a part of it now is also really great. Helps my family a lot too. And
how to manage people. I mean, I think you're understating that. But Kyle's got a team that fluctuates between 6 and 8, they're responsible for making literally millions of popsicles every year at this point. So
have you always had that ability, managing people?
Me or Kyle?
Well, either of you.
No.
I think it's super tough, right?
Yeah. No, it's the hardest thing for sure.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a lot better at it now. I was in the early days, I was really conflict averse, and I was just I had this weird idea that I was gonna, anyone that worked for me, I was just so terrified of being a Michael Scott figure, and so I just wanted to be but ironically I kind of was, because I tried to be friends with everybody, and then as a result, the first 2 Christmases, all of my employees were off on nice Christmas breaks, and I was the only one at the store working, and I was wait a second, this should at least be we're all pitching in kind of a thing.
A team thing.
By the 3rd Christmas, I was hey, everyone's gotta work, and then it was fine. So yeah, no, it's definitely a developed skill for me. We recently had some personality testing done with some of our upper level people, and basically it's like a graph of like, okay, this is who you are, or this is like how you're wired, and this is like the job that you're trying to do. And my graphs are really different because the job that I'm trying to do now as a CEO.
What's the name of the test? Do you remember?
Culture Index.
Okay.
And the job that I'm trying to do now is just like, I have to be organized. I've got to be, I've got to have tough conversations all the time. There's conflict, things like that. But and that's not what I would prefer to just create and just like have, just have fun, of course. So yeah, it's definitely a learned skill, and I've got a lot of learning to do. And that's the problem with the growing company. Like I'll get okay at like my current job, but then we're growing, so then I have to get better at the next thing.
What have you learned from those culture indexes?
One of the biggest takeaway that I got from it was just the idea of like motivation, of what people's motivation, and that's found its way into my interview process in like a really big way. Because basically, like, I don't put people in boxes. Like, if obviously my graphs don't match, I'm doing a job that's outside of kind of maybe how I'm wired a little bit. So what we look at is not like who somebody is innately, but like what motivates them to override some of their weaknesses or some of the parts of their personality that may not be a perfect fit for a job. And so that was my biggest takeaway. So motivation's huge, and if you're not really well motivated to do a job, no matter what it is, you're probably not going to last very long.
Do you guys have anything to where, say I'm interested in working for Hyppo, maybe I go into one of the like Jacksonville store and start off as a part-time employee just selling the popsicles, right? Like what things do you guys do to create kind of a, I guess, like growth chart so people can kind of see a future with Hyppo? Like is there anything that's in place in terms of building somebody up from the start through the different levels in the organization?
We don't have anything in place. No, we don't. I mean, that's something that we want to do. It's like a structure that we want to provide, but it's not something that we've been able to do yet.
I ask because it's stuff that we're doing that I'm interested in doing. Because we get part-time team members who come in to work while they're in school at the University of Florida. They come in and help us assemble scooters, or maybe they're a part-time tech and that kind of thing. And I'm just interested in figuring out ways to like really get their buy-in, yes, while they're in school, but like, hey, like right. You could stay here after school yeah. And you can like grow within our organization. So that's why I ask. I think it's really great. I mean, like the most that we do is as new stores get created, as new job positions come up, the very first thing we do before we put out anything on Indeed or anything is to talk to the managers and see if they have anybody that they think is worth an interview. And so and I did this recently to like Kyle's team. We had a couple of other positions open. So
multiple times.
Yeah, I actually poached a lot of Kyle's team has been great. He's doing something great. So I've poached all kinds of people from his team to other higher positions. But that's one thing that we'll do. So it's not really like a program or a way that we sit down and like guide people towards that. But whenever we do have a job, we'll approach people and say, I think you should apply for this. And it's not automatic, but we just want to make sure that we're giving full opportunity to the people that we already have, that we're already developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So now here you are, you have all these stores, things are great. What's the future look like?
The future.
We don't have time to think about the future. There's so much going on right now.
We don't need roads. So the future for us, I mean, like if we're able to accomplish bringing on some strategic partners for a raise, we definitely want to keep growing the footprint of the company. Mm-hmm. And so for the Hyppo with popsicles, that probably means staying below like the latitude of like Tennessee and probably heading like west in terms of expansion, like expanding out. Right now, everything we do is inside the state. Right. But at a certain point, we'll be expanding Hyppo outside of the state. And then the other brands like Wyatt's is still in its like proving ground. We want to be careful about iterating a company before we can really are confident that we can execute.
It's been around longer than 6 months, right?
It has been around longer than 6 months. That's true. So
it's been 6 months.
It's a pretty good start. It's true, but it is a lot more complex than like just like running a pop shop.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and we're just trying to focus. So I think Wyatt is a brand that we'd like to see grow, and I think having Gainesville as its home base is really dynamic because it's a college town. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of people that are coming through here that end up going out to other cities in Florida. So it's a great place to home base a brand, and the Mayday ice cream brand is definitely growing, and but we primarily see our growth pattern of being just more brick and mortar stores, and it's definitely like the more expensive way to go, but. When you do that, you can build community, you build culture, you employ more people, and you just have like a much broader reach, and it just gives our company a lot more vertical depth to be able to do more things and delight people more with the types of fruits and the types of just the types of products we're able to provide, and you just get that connection. So I mean, there's a lot of companies that are in like the consumer packaged goods space that have a lot more explosive growth potential because like if you're making like an RX bar or something, you just call up your co-packer and say, hey, we need 10 million more because Walmart just came on or Publix just came on or something. That's something that we're like open to, and but we're like very cautious there. We know we're good at brick and mortar, and we know we're good at serving people directly face to face, and so that's where we're focused.
Okay, but you guys do some distribution, right? Because I feel like I've seen, I think in my Hunter's Crossing gas station, I think there's a Hyppo.
There is a Hunter's Crossing,
okay.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, so I mean,
we deliver to them.
How big of that? How much of the business is being distributed to like fuel stations, or is that like the only one? And
right now, our revenue, from a revenue standpoint, and I'll let Kyle speak more specifically to the individual, to how many people we have, but from a revenue standpoint, wholesale's maybe only like 7 or 8% of like our total rev. So company wide, it's like fairly small. But I'll let Kyle speak more up.
Yeah, so we've noticed that we do really well in like boutique shops, places like Natural Life in Jacksonville, and there's a couple smaller boutiques that we've done well in. And as far as like gas stations and things like that, we've done like Dailies in Jacksonville. We've done some work with them and that Hunter's Crossing store. But we ship everything ourselves. We don't have like major distribution in that. So we'll either drop ship from our facility or deliver it on our box truck the same way that we deliver to our stores. But yeah, like Stephen said, it is like a lower percentage of our gross sales.
Is this something that you guys see growing, or just?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely grow.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it'll definitely grow.
I think
that's
it's
not the
currently
primary
growing.
focus. The primary focus is definitely the brick and mortar retail.
Yeah, and part of the problem is that popsicles, unlike let's say like an RX bar, is not something that. So we really pursued big grocery for a while, a few years ago, and did the big trade shows and everything, and we had a lot of fun and spent a lot of money and got nowhere. And a big part of that is that. You're competing for like the most valuable real estate in a grocery store and in the distribution warehouses. So frozen takes up a very, very small percentage of the total store. And so, if you're like an RX bar or like a Justin's Peanut Butter, you can send a store like Publix a bunch of like these, cartoned shippers, and they can just set one on the end of any aisle, and people can go shop it, or they can set it up by the counter. And with popsicles, they have to be in that freezer, and that space is like. As
gold to them.
Yeah, I think I've described it before. It's a club that already has way too many guys in it, and you're also trying to go in. And
it's like in a grocery store. There's 13 aisles of dry goods, an entire section for produce and deli, and then there's 3 refrigerated aisles, and one of them is frozen. So it's really hard to get in there, and
unless you have a ton of money and can buy out your shelf space and things like that. So
do you see it always being corporate owned, or do you see a franchise opportunity?
I see it as always being corporate owned.
Okay.
One of my mentors early on said that if you are in franchising, then you're doing administrative work and police work to try to make sure that the franchise is running well. And if you own your stores, then you can be more creating, because you're creating culture and everyone's on the same team.
Yeah, because you're not making popsicles anymore, you're selling franchises instead, so it's a completely different business.
Yeah, and the manufacturing side of it's like really compelling to me. Kyle and I have had a ton of fun, just working on all the manufacturing side, going to these packaging expos. Our packaging machine was built by Bosch, and we got to go to their factory up in Wisconsin.
That's cool.
Super
Get
cool.
trained. Yeah, and so that part of it is really fun. And I think if it was just like an office and a business only for me, I would lose interest like very quickly.
Cool. Anything else, Ty?
Yeah, I got a couple things just to make sure I get to them. One, I want to talk about the branding, because the Hyppo branding is pretty incredible. It's very clean. You guys do the pins. You guys have awesome mugs. You talked about the visual aspect of the cart. You couldn't really see in there when you go into a Hyppo shop. The glass is clean, all sorts of colors. I want to just talk about
shirts,
that whole,
I like
shirts. Talk about how are you solely responsible for it? How have all the brands kind of developed with the the different graphic design? Because Wyatt's is the same way. It's it's very easy to opt in and say, hey, I like this place.
That's cool. I appreciate you saying that. Some of it, I'm the origin of like the basic vision of each one, because I'm creating the companies, but the actual aesthetic credit all has to be given to a graphic design company in St. Augustine called Space Camp. And they're good friends of mine, Danielle and Luke Broderson, who are graduates of Flagler College. They're in St. Augustine, and which is where Kyle went. And
Yeah, he's an FSU fan.
It's good.
We don't
Flagler
have football
doesn't
at
have a
Flagler.
football team. I know.
You gotta
go back to
have
my
a team. You're
roots.
gonna have the
And they
Gators.
don't have academics at FSU. It's a perfect pairing.
I don't get it.
I'm kidding. My mom went there. It's a very nice school. Don't talk bad about
Brooklyn
FSU.
went there too.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful school.
But she's
Love that.
It's a wonderful school, and we definitely appreciate our partnership with them, selling popsicles to them. So.
I know I do.
Don't mean to destroy the whole business on one podcast.
But anyway, Space Camp does all of our brand work, and they're amazing. They're really accessible. They've got an incredible aesthetic, and they've been great to work with. So I'm headed over there tomorrow to work on more packaging, and we'll just go sit in, camp out at a computer for a few hours, and just iterate together. And I'm providing the business side of like, what do we want to communicate? How is it communicating? But they're the artists, and so they're specifically Danielle Broderson. Yeah,
Very talented.
And then on the collaboration side, you guys have done some like alcoholic beer popsicles. I know there's a couple, gin popsicles. All of that's extremely interesting to me. How does the collaboration happen? If the WHOA podcast wanted to make some popsicles,
Yeah, we want a
how many do we have to make? Best of Gainesville wanted to. How does that conversation start for companies or organizations?
Yeah. So minimum quantities, 100,000 units. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll put order into that.
We got something to work towards.
You guys can hand those out at Krispy Kreme. No, I'm just kidding.
It just takes one Gator game. That's it.
No, it's actually like, and I'll let Kyle speak more to this because this is his department. But the minimums are pretty low because we make everything by hand anyway, and so it's not hard for us to retool into a different flavor. On top of that, the collaborations that we've done are really important to us, and it's really fun. It's fun for our team to get to work with that with these different companies, especially the distilleries and the breweries are just a blast to work with. And so if you guys want one, we can definitely make you a custom pop.
Hell yes. We'll be in touch. That would be awesome.
But Kyle, do you want to speak more about the collabs?
Yeah,
and how
I need
they
a
work?
Negroni popsicle. That's what I'm thinking about.
You know who would love that? David at Manifest would love that. He's a big fan.
Manifest is a distillery in Jacksonville we work with that is super cool.
Yeah, so we've a lot of them is just like as we've popped up in like our neighborhood of St. Augustine, these other businesses have popped up like Intuition Ale Works, Swamphead, First Magnitude, Manifest Distillery, St. Augustine Distillery, and then trying to work into like that sort of Tampa St. Pete market has been a little bit tougher because getting it back and communicating with them is harder. But more of the local guys, it's great because they're so close. We can get to know them and work on like not just making popsicles with them, which is super fun, and I really love all of those things. But also we've done some purees that they've put in their beers, which is really just another way for they're like, hey, we don't have a kitchen, we don't have a way to store 600 pounds of peaches. Is that something that you guys would want to do? And we can just like work out like a trade for labor or something. And so those are all really fun.
Trade for labor, trade for beer.
Well, yeah, they're trading the beer.
But that's true. I forgot about that. And we're doing some co-packing of some other foods for like we're doing
we're doing
the bourbon cherries
for the St. Augustine distillery.
Yeah, and Kyle's done a bunch of fruit processing for someone even for Swamp Pit, right? Didn't we do something for them?
We did cranberries for one of theirs.
Yeah, so
awesome.
Yeah, so that's really fun. It's a really fun two-way street there.
And can you guys sell the alcoholic popsicles at your stores, or is that more of like a one-off at restaurants or
That's events? A wonderful question. And yes, we can. So popsicles, because it's solid and not liquid, falls under confection law. And under confection law, you can make something up to 5% ABV, which is convenient because we can't really go much above that anyway without the popsicle falling apart.
Yeah, you like
because of the alcohol. So as long as it's as long as we card for some of those that are that are above 0.5%, so it's anywhere between 0.5% and 5% we're carding for, but we are allowed to sell those under current Florida confection law, and those things always change here and there, but for right now, those are wide open. So
it's changed since we've been open too.
We actually we were operating under much lower percentages, and we got an audit recently, and then the auditors were like, hey, you guys can actually like go much higher than this, and we're like, oh wow, okay, cool. Sweet. And so Kyle recently made a which is really fun. Going back to the hip hop we were listening to earlier, we made a Cousteau mango. Yeah. So how about a few bottles of actual Cousteau and dump them into the popsicle buckets?
I think Grog House should have like 6 of these available at night. I mean, it's so hot in there, people are sweating. If you could have a beer or a popsicle, it's the same thing.
Dude,
I mean, little cherry bomb popsicles and whatever else is going on there. Jaeger popsicles. I don't know.
It was pretty fun going to the liquor store across the street and being like, hey, Brett, do you guys have Cousteau? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I want 3 bottles of it. Yeah. And he's like, whoa.
So we got to fulfill all of our hip hop dreams came true.
Yeah. That's cool. And then the final thing I've got is you guys still have the Hyppo carts. And I know you use them at like the Tyler's Hope. They've had it before, different kind of charity organizations. How do you get the cart out to an event?
Yeah, the carts. Oh, like how does someone? I mean, if if you call or email us, I mean, we do a ton of charity work.
Okay.
And so almost anyone that asks, they can get the card, or depending on the scale of the charity or what it is. Oftentimes we're either providing the pops at cost or super cheap, or giving them away. But yeah, we do a ton of charity work. And if you want the cart for like a birthday party or something, we've got an events coordinator that can handle that, or a wedding. We do a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the carts are fun. We also have a couple of trucks.
Oh yeah.
Marge and Lolita. Lolita is one that lives in Gainesville. It's a wonderful truck. You might see it driving around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Pepita.
R.I.P.
She's retired.
Yeah. We retired Pepita.
Well, I have to say this has been super fascinating.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for being on the show. Continued best wishes on continued success. Why don't you tell our audience where they can connect with you via social and that kind of thing, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thanks. It's been awesome to be here. You can find us at The Hyppo, and Hyppo spelled with a Y, where the I would normally be. So at The Hyppo, so we've got the article there, thehyppo.com. You can look us up on Facebook, and I don't think we have a Snapchat. But we definitely have Instagram. So
Instagram.
So I would say that's the best place to find us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks again. Any last words before we sign off?
I think that's it. Just beat Florida State.
Yeah. Do it up, Gators. Let's go.
Every time.
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. We will see you later. Bye.